You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. See, we was cool right before it hit the fence, but it hit the fan when I got him down and pinched. But I took a break, I had to leave and go get cleansed. God forgive me for all my sins. I can't say these, cause my last name ain't Kent. Cooking on the stove, that's the way he paid the rent. Working on the pole, that's the way she pays tuition. Better watch your soul, cause you know they trying to get it. Yeah, yeah. I learned my right from wrong on the song. I let my heart bleed on my sleeve through microphones. I'm trying to right my wrongs by writing out my wrongs. Ran through a check,
Hello,
cause it's
Pyro
hard to live
Media
off
family.
bread alone.
Thank
So if
you
you
for
see me
tuning
slipping,
in.
let
If
me
this
know.
is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience with us is fruitful. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. And we do hope you consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
And you better talk to me nicely. Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Oh, can't forget all the days they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice we know. Talk to me nicely. I noticed they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice we know. We on top, flipping the bird, they going sick. But I'ma make a meet every.
Hey, everybody. It is I, Hope Giselle, and I'm back at you all with another episode of I Have Thoughts, okay? I have been gone because Pyro has been gone. Everybody has been resting, doing all of the things. And I think that I want to shout out for having a production company that understands the power of rest. Okay. And the need to be able to take a step away, to take a step back, to like really work on and focus on some self-care and healing. A lot of people at work will say those things, but they don't do those things. And then when you ask for those things, they look at you like you crazy. Not at Pyro. Okay. I am not a slave to the machine over here. And that is just a little PSA. They ain't asked me to say that, but that's just how I'm feeling about the people that I work for. You know, I'm just saying. I don't know if you work for people that make you feel like a slave, but I know. Okay. Just that. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that is going on, and y'all know typically I like to bring y'all the hard-hitting news, and today is not going to be any different, but it's going to be a little bit lighter on the things. Like, I wanted to make sure that y'all knew about some stuff that was really important, and then we're going to get into some things that are just as important, but a little bit lighter on the notes for this show. So, in case y'all did not know, I need y'all to do one thing for me. Everybody in the world should be doing this thing for me. Getting registered, okay? Because if you're do the thing that's on the screen, okay? Get registered to vote. And I need y'all to get registered to vote because it's not just important that we're registered to vote and that we're checking that we're registered to vote. You need to understand that your state has a deadline for you to be able to vote. And a lot of these states are going to be states that are pretty southern. Some of them are going to be those western states, and there is a map. And I wanted to make sure that you all had a map that showcase the really, 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 really vast importance about making sure that you are doing your due diligence to make sure that you are registered. So a lot of people have found out that they signed up, they thought they were registered, but they weren't, right? But 21 states in DC offer same-day voter registration for November the 5th election. Other states require registration that happens before, and the deadline can be as early as October 6th. So you need to make sure that you're getting in. Now, if you are mailing in your application, be sure that you are checking whether or not your state's deadline is a postmark date or the date that it has to arrive at the elections office. These things are important because if you want to make sure that your voice counts, especially as we're getting ready to vote in our first Black and Indo-Asian, American president, that we are doing our best to be on time with the stuff. Now, here are a couple of different voter registration deadlines. You can definitely check these out. They're going to be listed in my story if you're watching live, and they'll also be listed in the link in my bio if you are watching a little bit later and after the fact. These things are truly and highly important because we want to make sure that in spaces where you see the Black and brown vote count the most, that you are making sure that number one, you are registered. Don't take it for face value. Don't do the I think I did it 2 years ago. Make sure that you are registered to vote, because a lot of us are showing up to the polls. A lot of us are pulling up and, pulling up to show up and show out, and folks are being turned away because they are not registered. And then at that point, you can't get registered, right? The tool and the trick of the enemy is to make sure that you are ill-informed about the ways in which they can be killed. And I need y'all to understand and recognize that not knowing when the voter registration deadline is not a thing that they make sure minority people don't know by accident. They make sure that we are ill-equipped with the tools that we need to be able to show up and show out and do the things that help us to remain in power in the places where we live, right? A lot of the time folks will say things like, oh, my grandma registered me the second I turned 18. Boo-boo. You done moved, especially if you're trans, because I know a lot of my folks are trans or TGNC people. You done changed your name. You done changed your gender marker. If you're non-binary, but you used to be trans, you done changed your gender marker, changed it back, and then changed it to an X. Like, there are so many different things and so much that we go through in life. Some of us have gotten married. You done changed your last name. All of those different things affect the way that the voter registration polls work. You can think that you were registered on Monday, something small will happen, and they're doing things in small doses to catch you slipping. Don't just check and make sure that you're registered to vote one good time and think like, oh, hope I checked it last week. Up until your registration deadline, keep checking to make sure that you are registered to vote. And I say this because there were a lot of people that reported in the last voting cycle that the day before it was time to turn in the deadlines, they were helping other people register and did small checks on themselves and realized that they had been unregistered for something as small as like filing taxes or something like that. So like, be very mindful that these people will catch whatever loopholes or leeway, and especially in this general election cycle, to make sure that this orange felon wins. He is okay with playing dirty. And so we have to be okay with following the system, right? That they want to try to use against us because they think that we don't know it, and understanding and letting them know that things have changed and we indeed do know this system and we know it well. So make sure that you're out here voting. But speaking of the orange pavilion, okay, speaking of the the lies, the lies, and the lies, okay? Unless you've been under a rock, you've heard that Donald Trump has yet faked another assassination attempt. He's also said that my folks, Sapase, are out here tricking people, and causing all of these people to be without homes, and just the cause for all of the things. And like, I mean, it's ridiculous, all of the things that he's saying about Haitian immigrants. He's saying things about people eating pets. And that was something that he literally said on the debate stage with VP Kamala Harris, and said it with his entire chest based off of an article or a news clipping of this woman from a place that seemed to be very deep and embedded in some place where people go to prom with their cousins, right? And he used that on the debate stage as factual truth of the matter. Now, first and foremost, before I even get into all of the things that we're talking about, I want to name that if you watched the debate last week, you also saw that Donald Trump, after being fact-checked, told 33 untruths. Kamala told one. And I'm pretty sure that it was by technicality of a technicality or just a misspeaking. So I want to be very mindful of the fact that this is not Donald Trump's first time, misusing the truth, not saying the right things, getting faulty details from people who are not experts in their fields. But during a debate where you were supposed to be a person that wiped the floor with Kamala, you were so ready for this debate. She's incompetent. She's stupid. She doesn't have anything to say. But you got your ass up there and told 33 lies. Okay, the Candy would be tired of the lies, the lies, the lies. Like Candy would be so over you. That meme would be misused for ages to come if y'all continue to debate for longer than you all continue to debate. It is ridiculous that you would get up there and not fact check, but then turn around and continue to do the things that we have listed here. It is absolutely crazy and asinine to me that you are going around and continuing to call in bomb threats and continuing to make hoax and continue to talk about how your life is, in danger. Ain't nobody checking for you, Donald Trump. Nobody's checking for you. If people wanted you gone, if people wanted you dead, if people wanted to assassinate you, they've had a good run to be able to do so when you have not been the president. I don't think that anybody at this point, at this stage, is going to waste their energy trying to kill someone who is obviously not going to win anymore. Before it was I'm not sure, maybe because Kamala is on her, like she ain't showing up for the Gaza people the way that she need to be showing up. I don't really know her platform. I'm not really sure what she's running on. It's giving freedom, but also you can't run a country on Beyonce music. Like, what is it really giving? And I think that what Kamala has been doing is trying to show the American people that she's running on more than her ability to be able to be relatable in music taste. She's running on more than the idea of joy, 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 joy. Hey, I'm sorry. That song gets me turned up. Pharrell, if you ever see this, just know you did one with that one. But Kamala is like, she is working to make sure that the American people understand that she's not here to play games with us. She's not here to continue to do the same things that Joe Biden did that let us down in certain instances and in certain areas. And also, she's here to let us know that she ain't Joe Biden, right? And a lot of us have to understand and recognize that VPs don't have that much power. The president really don't have that much power. And if Donald Trump understood and knew how the actual judicial system of the United States worked, he would also understand that neither one of those people have that much power. It's about who we're electing in the Supreme Court. It's about the people that we're electing at the lower levels of the city and state. It's about federal laws. There are so many different things that go into play as it talks to, or as it pertains to, the way that social order works in the government. And the president does not always have the final say so in the way that this works, which is the same reason why we all understand and know and have come to learn that the electoral college bullshit is bullshit, and that it's based on the idea of fake and racist, right, cataclysms around the ways in which they wanted to be able to make sure that Black people in the South could not be able to vote and actually overthrow or overturn some of the racist ideals that they were coming up against. And so they created the Electoral College so that way one vote did not always equal one vote, and especially in spaces where they knew were heavily populated by Black and brown people. But people don't want to talk about that. We just want to continue to allow this man to continue to perpetuate, and peddle the lies. I want to talk more about the fact that outside of the lies that this man is perpetuating, the racism that he continues to perpetuate in the faces of every single American citizen and those abroad, right, and the people abroad, is absolutely disgusting. And so at this point, if you are a person, and this is Hope Giselle's opinion, this is not the opinion of Pyro Media. This is not the opinion of the folks that work for Pyro Media. This is not, I'm sure that some of my producers do agree with me, but this is not their opinion. These are my views. These are my expressions. If you are a person, especially if you are a white person, and you intend on voting for this man while also claiming that you are not a racist, I'm going to also assume that you are either a senile or a liar or somewhere in between both. Because there's no way that you can listen to the way that this man talks about folks that are within the minority community, much less the way that he specifically talks about African diaspora communities and people that fall within African descent, and not believe that he is indeed a racist, and also not believe that you are indeed a racist. I think that the way that he discusses immigrants is already, completely disgusting. There were so many times in that debate where he wanted to lure Kamala into a conversation about the wall and about immigrants and about people abroad coming over here and taking away jobs that he refuses to do. I am quite sure that Donald Trump has several people who are immigrants that work on his staff and do jobs that he refuses to do, and jobs that the American people that he so claims to love don't want to do, because there's an understanding that for us, we've been spoiled in a way that makes us feel like we're too good for certain jobs. But those same people are the people that you want deported from this country, that you think are taking up jobs and taking up space and eating people's pets. That's absolutely ridiculous. And that in and of itself is racist. To then turn around and talk about the Haitian immigrants coming over here, that is also inherently racist. And I think that as a person who is moving in this voter space, if you go to the polls with nothing else, go to the polls with the understanding that a vote for Trump, in my opinion, is a vote for racism. It is a vote for fascism. It is a vote for a dictatorship. And it is a vote against your best interest and the interests of the American people who do not belong or live or thrive in the 1%. We'll talk a little bit more when we come back from this break.
Talk to me nicely. Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Oh, can't forget all the days they overpriced me. So now that we up,
Are you ready for enlightening conversations that transcend boundaries? Get ready for Conversations with Clergy, brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. In partnership with the world's largest publicly funded international collaboration, the HVTN is dedicated to evaluating vaccines to prevent HIV and COVID-19. But their impact doesn't stop there. The HVTN is at the forefront of advancing vaccinology, social and behavioral sciences, statistics, immunology, and even contributing to the research on tuberculosis and COVID-19 vaccines. By supporting Conversations with Clergy, the HVTN not only brings you thought-provoking discussions, but also contributes to the global effort to combat infectious diseases. Tune in, stay informed, and be a part of the change. Conversations with Clergy, supported by the HVTN, empowering conversations, empowering lives. Join us in this journey of knowledge, understanding, and progress. Conversations with Clergy, proudly brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, because together we can make a difference.
Elevate your entertainment with Watch Vim. Discover the ultimate online streaming destination. Get an auto-renewing monthly subscription for unlimited content on all devices. Join us in supporting a Black-owned streaming platform that brings top-tier entertainment. Let the streaming excitement begin at Watch Vim, your seamless experience for endless entertainment. Stream online or download the Watch Vim app now.
I noticed they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get it.
Hey everybody, it is I Hope Giselle, and I am back with another episode of I Have Thoughts. In case you missed the first section, we talked a little bit about the importance of making sure that you get your butt up and go get registered to vote, okay? And notating the idea that I have a little bit of a guide that's gonna get you where you need to be. So if you're watching this in real time, you can head over to my story where I have this shared. And if you're watching this after the fact, it'll be in the link in my bio. So you'll be able to know which states have deadlines for voter registration. Some of them definitely will allow you to do so same day, but others of them have early registration deadlines that start as early as October the 6th. So make sure that you are on top of this, especially if you are a high-risk voter, meaning that you are Black, brown, queer, trans, a woman, all of the things, okay? Because if you are a high-risk voter and you are not voting this year, you cannot complain about the way that the outcome affects you. That's just the way I feel. Okay. So beyond that, we also discussed a little bit about Trump and Vance and their lies, and their racism, and the ways in which that I believe a vote for Trump definitely shows a vote for racism, a vote for fascism, and a vote for a dictatorship that does not help anybody, and especially not those of the American people. Now that our patience has been tested with Donald Trump, let's talk about how our spirit be tested out here in these streets. Because I need to ask y'all a question. What would you have done in this situation? Production, roll the clip.
A 19-year-old out to buy his grandfather some socks came across a bag with $135,000 just sitting near a Wells Fargo ATM in Albuquerque. Jose Nunez Romanes told CBS affiliate KRQE he called the number on the ATM, then police, because he knew trying to keep the money meant he would have to deal with mom.
Back of my head, I was just thinking about my parents, especially my mom. What would she would do if I came home with the money, and what she would do with her chancla to hit me.
It turns out the Wells Fargo subcontractor whose job it is to fill the ATM left the cash there by accident. The mayor and police chief recognized Nunez for doing the right thing when no one was looking and invited him to apply as a public safety officer while still in school. Nunez also got a $500 check from New Mexico energy provider PNM, a gift card, and $500 cash from a local restaurant, University of New Mexico Lobos football season tickets, and a signed football from former Bears linebacker Brian Urlacher. Nunez told the New York Times he's wanted to be a crime scene investigator or a detective ever since he was a kid. Katie Johnston for CBS Local News.
Let me tell y'all something. The way I would be, see, he was already crossed the border, but the way I would be, the amount of far that I would be from the ways in which I would have maneuvered to be elsewhere. I'm going to just say that. Elsewhere, okay? First of all, I know that the man that left that money there by accident is both grateful and in his motherfucking bag, because I know he fired. I know he fired like shit. I know that baby is so fired, can't even determine the amount of firing that he is in this moment. He is so fired. That man is just so fired that if he found somehow an iceberg, he would melt it by sitting next to it, because he is that fired. That man can't even look at a hot dog next to a grill because he is that fired. I don't understand how, for the life of you, you managed to leave $135,000 sitting out next to a fucking ATM, and you think you gonna keep a job out there. Leaving at $135,000, bitch, I would be fired. I would be fired. I would be fired. I would be fired. Okay? And so I know in the book of Gagalations, he has been gagged, bound, and is fired beyond the capacity of being fired times 12. And I feel both bad and relieved for that man, because I know that in the event that that money had not just like been found or spotted, that when that ATM couldn't, return the funds and things of that nature, it might have been assumed that he stole it. And I think that either way it goes, he's just fired. But at least you are fired with the contingency that you get to keep your honesty and that it was a human mistake and error. But it's one of those things where if I was that little boy, I don't give a fuck about my mama's chancla. Okay, but that's how you know the difference between a bad kid and a good kid. See, I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid. And let me tell y'all something. I was a bad smart kid. So the way I would have been making deposits into my account while hiding that money somewhere in the crib to avoid having to share, right? I would have broke my mama off a little something every now and then. She wouldn't have known where it came from. But I would have been piece by piecing that money into my account on regular income, because it's no way on God's green earth. I am sorry, and I'm letting the folks at Wells Fargo know this instant. If I ever catch one of y'all people slipping like that, I'm just letting y'all know. Y'all gonna have to find me. You gonna have to come find. You gonna have to come find me. Because $135, $135 is one thing. $135,000, you got me fucked up. I'm getting out of poverty. I'm investing that money so fucking quick. I'm gonna be on the stock market. Y'all are gonna wonder how the fuck I went from fab to fabulous. Because I am taking that coin and I am going to build a better life off of the system. Jose, you missed your blessing. You missed your blessing. And I know that people be like, oh no, but that's the test. He passed it and he gonna be blessed beyond measure. That's cute. That's cute. But in 6 years, I want to revisit this story. And in 6 years, I want to revisit this story. I know that some of y'all out here who be watching this stuff, y'all got good memories. And so in 6 years, somebody needs to randomly message me and be like, Hope, let's look up that boy. I need in 6 years, somebody to message me and be like, Hope, I remember when you said we was going to backtrack. Let's see what the fuck he doing. Because if he's not the police commissioner, if he's not, if he ain't, the mayor of the city or some shit, if he's not giving like forensic scientist extraordinaire by way of the fact that he was afforded some extra opportunities that other people were not afforded, I'm gonna be mad. Because you could have took that money, flipped it, and reversed it, Jose. You could have took that money, flipped it, and reversed it, and bought several Taco Bells, Taco Del Rios. And this is not me being racist. This is me understanding that there's a specific thing in the area. I would have been like the Rick Ross of the Mexican folks. Do you hear me? The way Rick Ross turned around and bought them Wingstops. Okay, the way Rick Ross turned around and bought them Wingstops, I would have invested in Pollo Loco, whatever the fuck was in that area. I would have owned every single one of them motherfuckers around me, or at least a good two to start. And with $135, you can buy two. You can buy two. You can buy two and still have a cute little coin. You can buy two. I'm gonna assume that you can buy two, and they're going to upkeep themselves. It's just gonna be under new management. Look here, let me tell y'all something. It couldn't have been me. And then he essentially walks away from $135,000 to $1,000 a football and a possible position that they're not going to let you keep. Okay? They're not going to let you keep it. Jose, Pablo, and them. You walked away from $135,000, and while I know that you were afraid of that chancla, let me tell you something. Your mama might have beat you that one time, but when she started realizing that the first is on its way back around, when she started realizing that she got a little credit card debt, when she started to realize that you're a big boy, senior year is coming, prom is coming, the things are coming, she would have forgiven you. She would have forgiven you. It would have been okay. There's not an ass whooping in this world that's going to scare me away from $135,000. I'm just letting you know that now. There's not an ass whooping in this world that is going to scare me away from $135. I am so sorry. My mama would have had to fight me like a nigga on the street. She would have had to fight me like a nigga. And that's if she would have been able to find out. That is if she would have been able to clock that I even had the money. Because, baby, if you live in a minority household, you know, you can't just tell your mama you got that kind of money. You gotta parse it out. You gotta $20 here, $100 there, extravagant Mother's Day gift, extravagant birthday gift, things that look you had to save for a while. Like you got to keep your mama out your business like that. You can't just give her what you got. You know what I'm saying? And so I hear you, understood, great for you, but baby, the way, the way. I'm just saying. Now, I want to get into something and somebody that we all know and love. I like to think that she's probably a friend to all of us in community. But T.S. Madison, y'all. T.S. Madison. I gotta give, if you know me well enough, you know that T.S. Madison is a close and personal friend of mine. I lovingly call her my auntie, and she lovingly calls me her niece. And I have to give her flowers. And I have to do so publicly, and I have to do so loudly, and I have to do so in a way that shows and gives reverence, because there will never be another. And I need that to be very clear. There will never be another T.S. Madison Hinton ever again. I don't want to hear y'all motherfuckers tell me that somebody is the next T.S. Madison. I don't want to hear y'all motherfuckers tell me that somebody reminds you of the T.S. Madison. There is only and will only ever be one, the T.S. Okay? And I'm saying this on the heels of both MTV VMA weekend. Like, get into this dress made by the person who also does a lot of my designs, Miss Riley Knox, who is also a Black trans woman. That's number one. This look is very SZA, very Madison, very ba boom. Like, if you know Madison, if you know Madison's references, if you understand how much of a nerd, for real, Madison is, you understand that this look is indicative of all of the pieces of who she is. But also the fact that Madison is at the MTV Music Video Awards, where just a couple of years ago, she was reporting about the looks at the MTV VMAs. And now she has been named one of the best dressed people at the MTV VMAs. And this is a Black trans woman who came from sex work. I grew up in Miami the same way that Madison grew up in Miami. We all know the stroll on 79th really well for being a space where all the girls, but specifically the trans women, went and sold themselves. And to be somebody who was doing that and then used her platform to now become someone who is an inspiration to women, people, Black folks, queer folks, straight. And like, Madison's reach is not just within the trans community or the gay community or the whatever. Bitch, when Beyonce calls you and says, I need your voice. When Beyonce calls you and says, bitch, I need your voice, you've arrived. And then there's not a bitch in this world that can really tell you that, as a person who seeks to use their voice, that you have not arrived into that, right? And so when I look and I see her in the same weekend navigate going from being at the MTV Music Video Awards to the Emmys as a former sex worker who is also a Black trans woman, y'all are not going to tell me that this woman's reach, that this woman's power, that this woman's voice, that this woman's stamina to be able to put up with the world around her is not on 12 at all times. And if you are not inspired by any of the girls in the community to do work, to be whatever, to show up, to be your most authentic self, if you're not inspired by nobody, I don't know how you could look at this woman's legacy and not be inspired by her. She has been and has continued to show us that being trans does not stop the show. Being loud and boisterous about your opinion does not stop the show. Being open and honest about your shortcomings around current events or PC topics does not pull you out of the rooms. In fact, it makes people galvanize around you to keep you in those spaces so that you can learn from those mistakes and pull people along as you go. And if that is not something that you recognize, understand, feel, know, desire to get to know about T.S. Madison, I implore you, take a little time and go back. Look at the track record and then check the receipts, because these are receipts. A Black trans woman not only getting in the doors, but then opening the doors for another Black trans woman who's a designer to be seen on some of the largest carpets in the world. The MTV Music Video Awards is one of the largest carpets in the world, and she is wearing a Black trans woman. The Emmys is one of the largest red carpets in the world, and she is wearing a Black trans woman. Constantly pulling people into the room, constantly pulling people into the conversation, reminding folks about the conversations that need to be had, and knowing when to step back and allow other people to have them, because she's a queen that knows how to pass the mic. Kudos, kudos, kudos. And all of the flowers to you, queen. And congratulations on grabbing yet another Emmy with the RuPaul's Drag Race team. With that being said, you all, here are my final thoughts. We all have things that we have to be mindful of. We have to understand and know when there are times for us to stand up and be in the front and be counted and be seen, when there are times for us to kind of sort of hush our mouths because we don't really know what we're talking about and we need to allow space for other people to come in. When there's a time to be yourself and be honest, even when that might piss other people off because that's not what they would have done. And when there's a time to be the most real and authentic version of yourself, to be able to inspire people around you to do those things. You have to have the audacity, the power, and the know-how to know when each one of those things is necessary. You cannot get anywhere without first understanding who you are and how you want to show up. So if you want to show up and be counted, you have to understand that in your spirit. If you want to show up and be seen, you have to do that and know that in your spirit. If you want to show up being honest and being the most virtuous part of yourself, you have to have the strength and the willpower to understand that it's going to come with some people not agreeing with your decisions. And if you want to show up and be a lying, bold-faced, orange, bald-headed ass liar, liar McLiar face, you have to know that that's also going to come with its challenges. Decide the person that you want to be and stick with it. But know that for every action, there's a reaction. And for every reaction, there's a consequence. Until next time, I'll see you all around. Bye, everybody.
Talk to me nicely. I noticed they heated, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice, we know.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.